Hey guys, it is Kyle aka Vulcan Wolverine again, coming at you with another part to the November Video Marathon 2017. It is November 21st. I'm kind of hitting the home stretch of my marathon. Um, Feeling pretty sick. Thanksgiving coming up. My parents are coming into town tonight. My attackers tend to hit me extra hard near any holidays. Just the constant chatterbox and stuff they're doing to my body. It feels like the inside of my head, like all the nerves are just pulsating, and my whole body feels like really feverish and almost just like there's something wrong in my back. Um, but I want to do this information credit and keep putting information out as well as I can. And so I want to go through, I've gone through the remote neural monitoring patent in some earlier videos. And actually, if you go to remote neural monitoring on Google, some of my videos are in there kind of further down, the links to some of my videos. This is the patent apparatus and method for remotely monitoring and altering brainwaves. US 3951134A. And I'm going to go to the publication date is April 20th, 1976. Filing date August 5th, 1974. So this is back in the 70s that the apparatus for remotely monitoring and altering brainwaves was established back in 1974, which is scary. I mean, they've had a lot of time to advance this technology, and I'm just going to read some of it because really right now I'm having a hard time editorializing or getting my thoughts together. I'm really hurting, but I'm just going to go through this information, kind of read some. I've got some stuff prepared after this. I might do two different sections on remote neural monitoring and remote neural manipulation, because put 2 plus 2 equals 4. If signals can be received from the brain and the nervous system, then signals can also be directed to the brain and the nervous system, and that would be remote neural manipulation. But first, I'm just going to start with remote neural monitoring. Apparatus for and method of sensing brain waves at a position remote from a subject, whereby electromagnetic signals of different frequencies are simultaneously transmitted to the brain of the subject, in which the signals interfere with one another to yield a waveform which is modulated by the subject's brain waves. The interference waveform, which is representative of the brainwave activity, is retransmitted by the brain to a receiver, where it is demodulated and amplified. So the interference waveform, which is representative of the brainwave activity, is retransmitted by the brain to a receiver, where it is demodulated and amplified. So that would mean if somebody was on a remote platform with a monitor, they'd have a way for picking up signals from your brain, from certain parts of your brain, and demodulating them so they would come out like on a monitor. The demodulated waveform is then displayed for visual viewing and routed to a computer for further processing and analysis. The demodulated waveform also can be used is transmitted back to the brain to affect the desired change in electrical activity therein. So they're basically talking about remote neural manipulation there. The demodulated waveform also can be used, is transmitted back to the brain to affect the desired change in the electrical activity therein. So they can send electrical signals back to the brain, which are really electromagnetic signals. Then there's some of the diagram for this prototype of apparatus for remote neural monitoring. Hard to see. But let me just kind of go through. I think this is a pretty good patent that can kind of be understood, whereas the directed energy weapons patent and definitely the the apparatus for microwave hearing effect, which they did change that to RF hearing effect. So actually, that's a good sign, though. It's not right. It's not a good thing, but somebody is coming in and changing some of the wording on this stuff so it doesn't sound as dangerous. And I have a feeling they, the DoD, DARPA, the DIA, CIA, the people kind of, running this at the top, they have a feeling that people are really looking into this stuff and figuring out 2 + 2 = 4, and that targeted individuals are not lying about this stuff. So they're trying to kind of make this stuff fluffier, where it's just radio frequencies, no big deal. But let's kind of jump into it, and I'll probably just make this one an hour. Hopefully my phone, hopefully the storage will cooperate here. Medical science has found brainwaves to be a useful barometer of organic functions. Measurements of electrical activity in the brain have been instrumental in detecting physical and psychic disorder, measuring stress, determining sleep patterns, and monitoring body metabolism. The present art for measurement of brain waves employs electroencephalographs, including probes with sensors, which are attached to the skull of the subject under study at points proximate to the regions of the brain being monitored. Electrical contact between the sensors and the apparatus employed to process the detected brain waves is maintained by a plurality of wires extending from the sensors to the apparatus. And this is the next part that is very important. The necessity for physically attaching the measuring apparatus to the subject imposes several limitations on the measurement process. The subject may experience discomfort, particularly if the measurements are to be made over extended periods of time. So this is their justification for doing it remotely, for wanting an apparatus that you don't have to stick electrodes to somebody's brains. They're saying it can become just, uncomfortable if the remote, if the neural monitoring is taking place over long periods of time. Then that stuff attached to the brain or attached to the head is going to be uncomfortable to the subject. So they want it to make an apparatus, and this is me being sarcastic, because they really want to make this remote apparatus so that they can do it without people knowing. The subject may experience discomfort, particularly if the measurements are to be made over extended periods of time. His bodily movements are restricted, and he is generally confined to the immediate vicinity of the measuring apparatus. Furthermore, measurements cannot be made while the subject is conscious without his awareness. Yeah, see, well, they even said it there. Furthermore, measurements cannot be made while the subject is conscious without his awareness. So they want to, you would be aware if all that stuff was hooked up to you, and you had monitors around you, you'd be aware that you were being neurally monitored. And they're saying, that's the reason why they want it, remote neural monitoring, because they want to do it without people being aware that it's being done. I'm sorry about laughing. I'm in a weird mood because I'm in so much pain, guys. But just hang with me. I got some good information on this one. The comprehensiveness of the measurements is also limited since the finite number of probes employed to monitor local regions of brainwave activity do not permit of observation of the total brainwave profile in a single test. Summary of the invention. The present invention relates to apparatus and a method for monitoring brainwaves wherein all components of the apparatus employed are remote from the test subject. More specifically, high-frequency transmitters are operated to radiate electromagnetic energy of different frequencies through antennas which are capable of scanning the entire brain of the test subject or any desired region thereof. The signals of different frequencies penetrate the skull of the subject and impinge upon the brain, where they mix to yield an interference wave modulated by radiations from the brain's natural electrical activity. So I want to go to this part. More specifically, high-frequency transmitters are operated to radiate electromagnetic energy of different frequencies through antennas which are capable of scanning the entire brain of the test subject or any desired region of the brain. Now, you hear a lot of targeted individuals saying that their attackers can see through their eyes or can see what's in their visual space. Now, you have your occipital lobe, which is a region of the brain. You also have your visual cortex, which is another region of the brain. And I want to read this one more time to put it together with that. More specifically, high-frequency transmitters are operated to radiate electromagnetic energy of different frequencies through antennas, which are capable of scanning the entire brain of the test subject or any desired region thereof. The signals of different frequencies penetrate the skull of the subject and impinge upon the brain, where they mix to yield an interference wave modulated by radiations from the brain's natural electrical activity. The modulated interference wave is retransmitted by the brain and received by an antenna at a remote station, where it is demodulated and processed to provide a profile of the subject's brainwaves. In addition to passively monitoring his brainwaves, the subject's neurological processes may be affected by transmitting to his brain through a transmitter compensating signals. The latter signals can be derived from the received and processed brainwaves. So they can send signals to, and they can get signals from regions of the brain. When I talk about remote neural manipulation, I'm speaking of sending signals back to regions of the brain. And my attackers are doing so many things with remote neural manipulation. I know that they are, invading my visual space. I know that they, are also messing with my emotions. So certain areas of my brain that may affect personality or happiness or things like that, they are sending signals to those parts. And I want to, go ahead and admit that they are probably doing so much with remote neural manipulation and, using sophisticated software to program kind of, automated targeting of certain areas of the brain so much that I don't know everything that my attackers are doing to me. Emotionally, personality-wise. They're doing things where I'm not on the other side of the equipment, so that they see strengths in my brain and things that I use to keep myself positive. They target these things, to try and, pull me down and make me more negative or make me angry or, screw with certain things in my visual space. And they're doing so much that I really, after years and years and years, when I first realized they were doing it, it was very, very easy to say, okay, that's them. But now they're running programs to do it and doing stuff manually to where, in over a long period of time, trying to affect certain regions of my brain that are very, very important to me, that it's easy to lose track. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, they're injecting a visual, they're sending a frequency signal back and putting in a visual that's theirs. I can pretty much catch that. But certain things over a long period of time affecting different regions of my brain that are very important to my personality, to my sense of well-being, to stress levels, to everything like that. So this is super, super the most dangerous stuff in the world. Without somebody's awareness that this is happening to them, it's dangerous. Even if they know it's happening to them and they can't stop it. And then the people doing it to them, on shifts, just do it over and over for decades and decades. It can destroy a person. I mean, it can destroy their mind and mutilate their mind. This technology, was known about in 1974. Speaking to this patent, but they still don't know, how much this damages a brain. Let me continue. So this is very important. It is therefore an object of the invention to remotely monitor electrical activity in the entire brain or selected local regions thereof with a single measurement. Another object is the monitoring of a subject's brainwave activity through transmission and reception of electromagnetic waves. Still another object is to monitor brainwave activity from a position remote from the subject. A further object is to provide a method and apparatus for affecting brainwave activity by transmitting electromagnetic signals thereto. I'm not going to go through the description of the drawings of the apparatus, but I think I'm going to go back up. So just put in, patent for remote neural monitoring, and you'll come up with this on Google, and you can check it out for yourself, how the apparatus is built. The different devices and transmitters in it, how they send different frequencies into the brain to mix and get an output signal. I'm going to go over and read some of the claims of the patent. Okay, so claims. What is claims?